One of President Trump's mandates is to reduce the size of the federal government. He recognizes the need to reduce the so-called fourth branch of government, the administrative state. He has given that task to Elon Musk and Ramaswamy. Welcome to The Political Mechanic. My name is Stephen Thain. I'm your host. Today I will discuss the administrative state, part of its history, how it is a threat to limited government, the proposed strategy to unwind it, and the importance of two recent Supreme Court cases. Much of the growth of government has taken place within the administrative state, or the bureaucracy. Therefore, reducing government must include a reduction in the bureaucracy. First, the importance of the administrative state. Between 3,000 and 4,500 new federal regulations are passed each year, while Congress comparatively passes very few laws, 82 so far this term. Unelected bureaucrats have become the fourth branch of government with more ability to set policy easier than Congress, because bureaucrats don't have as much public scrutiny. Only a few bureaucrats are needed to agree on a new regulation, unlike a law that requires a majority of 535 senators and representatives, plus the signature of the president. Second, the attitude at the highest level of bureaucracy is very elitist. Woodrow Wilson, before he became president, explained his view of the administrative state in an article written in 1887 entitled Socialism and Democracy. He said, the thesis, this is quote, the thesis of the state socialist is that no line can be drawn between private and public affairs which the state may not cross at will, that the omnipotence of legislation is the first postulate of all just political theory, unquote. In effect, he did not see any limitation imposed on government power. He also stated, quote, his view of government, proposes that all idea of limitation of public authority by individual rights be put out of view, unquote. This attitude completely obliterates the constitutional protection of individual freedom and replaced it with an enlightened bureaucracy. This elitist attitude has continued for 140 years. We now have top-level federal bureaucrats that believe their opinions are more important and enlightened than the people or elected officials. This upper echelons of Washington, D.C. bureaucrats do not see themselves as being accountable to Congress, the states, or the people. We see this attitude expressed in many ways. One example is the willingness in Idaho to watch the federal forest lands burn rather than put out the fires when they first start. Thus, the need for the Department of Government Efficiency headed by Musk and Ramaswamy. So what is their strategy? Can they succeed? I believe they can. They plan on pursuing three types of reforms: regulatory rescissions, administrative reductions, and cost savings. They plan on driving these changes through executive orders, bypassing Congress. There have been several legal obstacles to make these changes in the past that no longer exist. First, administrative rules have not been able to be challenged by judges in the courts since 1984. This changed with the Chevron decision in June of 2024. Now courts do not have to give deference to the experts in the bureaucracy like they used to. Courts can overturn administrative rules. Courts were prohibited from doing so for over 40 years. The second problem was the ability of the bureaucracy to extend laws passed by Congress, such as the Clean Air Act, into areas not specified by Congress. The administrative state can no longer extend laws by Congress into major economic or policy areas not mentioned in the original law. The Supreme Court overturned this ability in West Virginia versus the EPA, and this ruling came down in 2022. The Biden administration has not used either of these two court cases because Democrats have used the growth of the administrative state to implement their policy objectives without passing new laws in Congress. They implement their leftist policies without accountability because the bureaucracy enacted the policy. Now we have a new administration that is planning on rescinding many current onerous rules through executive order, which brings us to the third problem. If Trump can repeal them, can't the next Democrat president just put them back in place? No, according to West Virginia versus the EPA, Congress has to reinstate major regulations through the legislative process. The fourth problem facing any serious deregulation is the protection civil servants have from getting fired. However, this protection does not apply if their jobs are no longer needed, which will happen when thousands of regulations are wiped off the books. There will be nothing to regulate. A great video explaining these points in greater detail was done by Dr. Steve Hurley in a YouTube video, The Secrets Are Out. Trump shares plan on dismantling the administrative state. Reductions in regulations will positively affect mining, logging, agriculture, manufacturing, healthcare, education, even high school sports, water, fisheries, the military, and much, much more. Now that we have a shared framework to understand the efforts to reduce government at the federal level, we need to explore how government grows. Once we do that, we can tackle the legislative issues outlined in the last video, how Idaho can work with the Trump administration to downsize government. Until next time, this is Stephen Thain, your host of The Political Mechanic.